Hello, everybody. This is Joker216 bringing you another One versus All podcast. I think this is episode 10. This is going to be a fairly short episode because I'm going to talk about two major things. And the first one I'll get out of the way. Actually, no, I'll talk about three. I'm going to talk about the Paige leaks. That will be a very quick segment. I'll start off with that one. I will then talk about Power Rangers, the movie, which I saw this past weekend. As I record this, it is currently Friday night. Well, Friday night. It's currently Saturday morning, 3:02 a.m., April 1st. So when I say this past weekend, I'm referring to the weekend prior to April 1st. Which reminds me, I need to pay my bills because we all got bills on the first of the month, right? Just get a sip of water there. Anyways, I'll start off with the Paige leaks because I'm a major Paige fan. For those who are unaware, there's a character in WWE named Paige, played by Soraya J. Beavis. I don't know how you say her last name, but anyways, Paige is a character in the WWE, and the woman behind the character, I think it was 2 weeks ago, had very explicit photos and video leaked to the internet in what is called the Fappening 2.0. It wasn't just her, it was a bunch of other celebrities, but she was in the mix. And as a wrestling fan, that kind of struck a chord with me because it's like, on one hand, it's Paige. She's mega hot. I was hoping there would be something like that happening. But at the same time, I can't help but feel a little bad because that only brings a lot of negative press towards Paige herself, who currently is not in very good standing with the company, mostly because of her actions in recent times. Like, I think it was this past summer, that she was busted and she was suspended for 30 days. She was first suspended for 30 days because they found an illegal substance in her system. After her first suspension was up, she immediately got suspended a second time for 90 days for another illegal substance, which people are saying, because apparently, sometime last year, Paige got with Alberto Del Rio, who at the time was another WWE wrestler, and they formed a relationship, and they're currently engaged to get married. So, yeah. But anyways, she has done a lot of things that would get any other superstar fired, but because she is who she is, and because the company is very high on her, or at least was at one point, they are keeping her around because The Rock is making a movie about her, which we'll see how that one turns out, huh? But anyways, my thoughts on the whole matter. The whole thing stinks. It really does. It sucks for anybody to have this happen. But at the same time, a bit of blame needs to be aimed at Paige herself. I'm not going to sit here and slut shame. I'm not going to sit here and act like it was a horrendous thing and that it should never have been done. She's an adult. She's free to do with her body what she wants, just like she's free to engage in whatever sex act she wants. I'm not going to police that. I'm not all, oh, Paige, my wife, ooh, she is ruined for me. No. I know that she's a young girl, and she's going to do this stuff. She's sexually active. She's on the road. She's a wild girl. So yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's just how it goes. But the whole thing is just it's a mess, and it looks like WWE for the most part have swept that under the rug. We are currently in WrestleMania weekend mode, and who knows, maybe at WrestleMania, because the New Day is hosting and Xavier Woods is allegedly one of the people featured in the sex tape, they might chant some things at him. I don't know. We'll see. I'll likely be back next week, and I'll discuss WrestleMania then, and then we'll see then. But yeah, basically my thoughts on the entire Page situation is, it's a gigantic mess that needs to be over sooner rather than later. You know, and I know that a lot of fans are gonna wanna, ugh, they're gonna want to keep bringing this up, like the CM Punk chants, like the Randy Savage chants, like any other random chant, just for the sake of trolling the WWE. I mean, you're free to do what you want with your ticket, but just be a decent human being, because I've seen that there are people who have been like, because okay, I'm very disorganized with this, but I I saw Paige's mother tweet out in support of her daughter, and a lot of people had tweeted out images of the sex tape at her mother, thinking that it was like, some glorious edgy thing to do. That is the stupidest thing you could ever do. I'm sorry. Just let it be. She made a mistake. She effed up. There's no going back from it. And yeah, she is in full damage control mode. She is passing the blame on others aside from herself. I think she should take some of the blame. I'm not going to say that she's 100% at fault, because she's not. It is also the fault of Brad Maddox and allegedly Xavier Woods. Allegedly. I don't know for sure if it was Xavier Woods. All signs point to it, and they all but confirmed it on Monday Night Raw, but I don't know if they were just confirming it or if they were just playing off it, because I don't think it was Xavier. I don't think. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But that's just my opinion. Uh, Anywho, that was uncomfortable. Let's move on from that. Power Rangers. I saw Power Rangers. In fact, I have my ticket still right here. It was laying on my desk. Yeah, we saw it the 25th of March at 1:50. Honestly, it was not that. It wasn't as bad of a movie as I expected it to be. I expected it to be a train wreck of a movie. I expected it to do one of two things: either be as cheesy and over the top as the original series, the Mighty Morphin series, or go an entire Dark Knight route with it. Go a little dark with it, go a little gritty. And they did that, but they didn't do that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the movie was amazing and that you should get out of your seat and go get out of whatever you are and go watch the movie right now. But I will say that it is worth at least one watch. If anything, I would wait for it to come to video before actually going to watch it, because with the video you'll have the bonus features and whatnot. Or you could just stay at home if you have a Netflix account and watch the original Mighty Morphin series, because according to a lot of fans of the Power Rangers, the original series is better. And I can't say I blame them, because I can see where a lot of people would have issues with the Power Rangers movie. For one thing, it takes way too long for them to become the Power Rangers. That works for and against the film in several ways. It works for the film because it gives us a chance to actually get to know the characters, the teenagers with attitude. We get to know Billy, we get to know Jason, Kimberly, we get to know Zach, we get to know Trini, we get to know them all, each individually, and then we also get to see how they become a unit, how they become friends. And that was honestly rewarding to me. Like, by the end, you're rooting for these guys because you're so connected to them. Whereas in the original, they're just perfect and but it was like a Saturday morning cartoon for kids. So that's to be expected. They took a Saturday morning cartoon for kids and they made a feature length film out of it. So while I disagree with them putting off the Power Rangers actually becoming the Power Rangers until the very end, at the same time, it was kind of a right call. Like, ideally, they should have had the Power Rangers show up at the halfway point, ideally, because, a lot of people have made this same analogy. What if you watch Batman Begins and Bruce Wayne didn't become Batman until the final fight? You wouldn't like that. No, no. Just show us why Bruce wants to become the Batman, and then have him become the Batman, and then the rest of the movie is, him as the Batman cracking his first case. And also, apparently, there was a people are like, oh, product placement, Krispy Kreme. okay, I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't see the purpose in complaining about product placement. Seriously, I don't understand everyone's complaint with, oh, the product placement, Krispy Kreme, it was so hokey, it was so over the top, and I'm like, well, I mean, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but what? I don't get what everyone's beef with product placement is. Maybe I'll save that for a rant in the future, but like it was the same thing with Man of Steel. Everyone was like, "Oh, there was a bunch of goofy product placement in Superman Man of Steel." And I'm like, "Okay, so would you have preferred they were smashing through random buildings that had no logos whatsoever?" Like, come on. Why complain about something so trivial? I mean, if it takes you out of the experience, that's one thing, but for me personally, it didn't take me out of the experience. It did make me want donuts, which I guess it did its job. And one thing I will give the movie credit for is I remember prior to the movie's release, I was hearing that one of the characters was going to be autistic and the other was going to be a lesbian or gay or whatever. I immediately got worried because I thought they were going to make that one characteristic, that one trait, the entire character. That was going to be their entire personality. And thankfully, that actually was not the case. In fact, you're not even aware of spoilers. You're not even aware that Trini is a lesbian until she hints at it, and even then, she's not like so limp-wristed about it. She's not bull dyke about it. She doesn't have a short haircut. She's just more of a free spirit. She has issues. She's very silent. She's confused about her life, and that like basically the way it goes down, they're all at a campfire scene, and Zach asks Trini, so boyfriend trouble? She goes, yeah. And then there was a pause, and Zach asks again. This time he goes, girlfriend trouble? And then she goes, oh yeah. And that's how we figure it out. It's never like I'm a lesbian. Oh, I'm a lesbian. I'm a lesbian. It's never that. And I like that. I like that in movies. I wish more movies would do that. I wish more entertainment media in general would do that. You know, write a character who happens to have this trait. Don't write a character that has this trait. It's like when writing black people or like a black main character. What you want to do is you want to write the character just as a character. And if you happen to cast a black guy, then you happen to cast a black guy. Write characters who happen to be this, not write a character who happens to be black, not a black character. Write a character who happens to be gay, not a gay character. That's my philosophy. Whether you agree with me or not, I mean, sound off in the comments by all means. I mean, if you want to engage in a discussion about the whole thing, hey, that's fine. I'll answer questions. I'll do whatever. Really, I mean, because these are just my opinions, and I don't want to make it sound like, oh, my opinions are law. No, my opinions are my own. If you agree with me, then that's all fine. If you disagree with me, then hey, we can have a dialogue. Because I'm not exactly going to change my mind, nor am I going to try changing yours. But maybe you can help explain to me why you feel the way that you feel, so I can better understand you. Is That's the way I go about things. Because we all have different opinions. We're not the same. I am veering off on a tangent. Anyways, as for the autistic kid, Billy is the autistic kid in this movie. And I absolutely adore Billy in this movie because you wouldn't know he's autistic. Like, I don't know traits of autistic people. I don't know very many autistic people. I know maybe one or two autistic people. And they're just normal people. They're just normal people. Surely they're more obsessive than most, but the point is they're just normal people like you and me. They're no different. I absolutely love that he doesn't play into the stereotypes of autistic people. And while on the subject of autistic people, autism and stuff like that, if you have ever made fun of somebody for being autistic, just don't. Like, I don't get why people online use autism as an insult. I have been called autistic myself, and I know for a fact that I'm not because I've not been diagnosed with autism, and I refuse to, I refuse to go by self-diagnosis. Oh, I self-diagnose myself as autistic. It's like, no, no, that's dumb. You self-diagnose. Get the hell. Unless you're a doctor, you can't self-diagnose, and I'm definitely no doctor. But anyways, Power Rangers. I did not regret seeing. It was a fine movie. It surpassed my expectation, but I had very low expectation to begin with. So the bar was set kind of low, which I guess worked in favor of the movie. Had I set the bar a little higher, maybe I would have been disappointed because I was never that big a fan of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like I was, but I wasn't. I had the toys, I had the bed sheets, I dressed up as them for Halloween. Jason was my favorite. He was red, represent the red man. So it's like it is what it is. If you're a Power Rangers fan, hey, go ahead and give it a watch. I mean, it's just one more thing of Power Rangers for you to consume. And if you don't want to, then you don't have to. Sit at home, watch it on Netflix, and then when this movie comes out on DVD, pick it up, watch it, or wait for it to come to cable, and then watch it then. Because I truly believe it's worth at least one watch just to just for you to form your own opinion around it instead of adopting other people's. Anyways, okay, I'm at 16 minutes. I think now it's time for the main event. And the main event is how I think Marvel should have incorporated Spider-Man into their cinematic universe. Now, full disclosure, I am not particularly hyped about Spider-Man Homecoming. I never was. I'm not a fan of how they portrayed Spider-Man in Civil War. I am not a fan of how the trailers for Spider-Man Homecoming basically make him look like Tony Stark's little puppet, little pet, because Tony's constantly lecturing Spider-Man about being Spider-Man. And I mean, a lot of people are saying that this is like, oh, it's something that Spider-Man has never had, guidance. On one hand, I agree. On the other, the thing is, I want Spider-Man to figure this stuff on his own. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a fan of how they had Tony give Spider-Man his suit. I know he had his own custom-made suit, but it wasn't the Spider suit. You know what I'm saying? I much prefer the like. Say what you want about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. At the very least, they became Spider-Man by themselves. Am I saying they could use guidance? Absolutely. I'm not saying you can't have Tony Stark guiding him. What I am saying is you should have kept Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Now, I mean, this is purely fan fiction right here. So, just take real life out of the equation. I know that Marvel wanted to just retool Spider-Man, which I thought they were going to keep Andrew Garfield, but just retcon the Amazing Spider-Man movies and just have him show up as Spider-Man, which I think would have been a really awesome idea, and I'll tell you why. Matter of fact, no, I won't. I'll tell you why in a second. I'll tell you why in a little bit after I explain how they should have gone with it. First of all, you secure Spider-Man, then, what you do, you keep Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 2 ended on a cliffhanger. Now, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not the greatest movie. Not it was not that good. I enjoyed it, but I got to admit that there was a lot wrong with it. There was a lot wrong with Amazing Spider-Man 2. It ended on a fight with Rhino. Keep Andrew Garfield, and then if you really, 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 really wanted to bring Spider-Man in Civil War, keeping Andrew Garfield would have been the right call. The reason I say this is because we've established that this is Spider-Man. He's been doing his thing for a while. What you could have done, you could have kept Andrew Garfield in Civil War, and then you could have had, and I know I rant endlessly about how the Marvel movies are all interconnected and how I don't like that because, you have to watch Avengers to get what's going on in Thor. You have to watch Thor to get what's going on in, Avengers. You have to watch Doctor Strange to understand shit in the Avengers, and it's a mess. I don't like it. And yes, I know that DC is kind of doing the same things, but this is not a DC rant. And in fact, I honestly am praising DC because they're starting off with Justice League, not building up to it. That works in its favor just as much as Marvel starting off the cinematic universe with Iron Man worked out for it. Here's the thing: okay. This is just a short tangent. Everyone that I know has complained about DC playing catch up to Marvel. They're saying that they are rushing to the Justice League because they want to compete with Marvel. Now, I say that DC is actually doing a good thing here by starting us off with Justice League. Yeah, we've had Man of Steel. Yeah, we had Batman vs Superman. We're getting Wonder Woman before it all. But that's the Trinity. You got to have a movie with Superman. You got to have a movie with Batman establishing, and you got to have a movie establishing Wonder Woman. And then, off the power of those three, we can introduce these other characters. Instead of having their own standalone movies, waiting and waiting for the team up eventually, we get the team up, we get introduced to these characters, and then after we are introduced to the characters, we have the adventure. After the adventure, we can have solo movies featuring these other characters who we know because everyone's going to see Justice League. Everybody. Why? Because you have Batman in it, Wonder Woman in it, Superman in it. I mean, had Marvel done the same thing and started off with the Avengers and had Iron Man show up, like had they started off with Iron Man, they went with Incredible Hulk, and they rushed Thor 1, they rushed Captain America 1. They made all these movies just so that they could get to the Avengers. But imagine they just started off with Captain America. I'm not saying they could. I'm not saying Iron Man 1 couldn't have happened. Let's just live in an alternate reality for a second where DC beat Marvel to the punch and they made the Batman in 2008 and they made a Superman movie after that, and then they made a Superman Batman crossover, and then they made a Wonder Woman movie, and then a Green Lantern movie, and then and then eventually they had the Justice League, and then Marvel decided they were going to jump on this gravy train, but instead of because we've established that all these characters know each other, instead of jumping on the gravy train and making individual movies for each character, they make one big epic movie featuring the Captain America character, building a team of all these different characters. People would have still I believe Marvel would still be as successful today had they just started with the Avengers instead of rushing these other movies. uh, Again, very disorganized thoughts here. I know I'm going to lose some of you. I'm going to lose a lot of you, actually, because I like both Marvel and DC. I want both companies to do good. Marvel has been disappointing me with movies lately and comics as well. But, there's a lot of Marvel movies that I do like, just like there's a lot of DC things that I don't like. Currently, I am not a fan of DC's CW shows. I used to be, but now they've just gotten a little bit too Dawson's Creeky, a little too teen drama soap opera-ish. I just want to see Green Arrow kick some ass. I don't want to see him, you know, brooding about Felicity. In fact, I don't want to see Green Arrow brooding at all. He shouldn't be brooding. Green Arrow doesn't brood. That's Batman's job. Just like I don't want to see a musical episode of The Flash. The less said about Supergirl, the better. I hear Legends of Tomorrow is alright, but I haven't watched it yet. Either way, I much prefer the movies, just like I much prefer the movies for DC, just like I much prefer the Netflix shows for Marvel. I love Daredevil. Jessica Jones is probably my favorite of the Netflix series. Luke Cage was all right. I have yet to watch Iron Fist. I need to watch Iron Fist. I hear it's all right actually. People are saying it's bland and there's a lot of issues with the acting, but I'll give it a chance. I enjoyed Ant-Man. I liked Iron Man 1, The Incredible Hulk. I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy Captain America Winter Soldier at least a little bit. And of course, I loved Guardians of the Galaxy. I am hyped for Guardians. I cannot wait to see that movie. Anyways, on to what I was talking about. How Marvel should have incorporated Spider-Man into their cinematic universe. As I said, keep Andrew Garfield, and if you want to put him in Civil War, fine. Just have like a scene where he's fighting the Rhino, and have Iron Man show up and kind of help him out there. And then, just eliminate the crowd watching. Just have Spider-Man fighting Rhino since that's where we last saw him. Now, you can make the arguments, oh, well, what about this, what about that? It wouldn't make no sense. What, did they just wait the entire time? He's been fighting Rhino this whole time? No. Retcon The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and just have those events happening at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Just have Tony watch TV or something, or just have Tony, yeah, just have Tony watch TV and hear about, oh, this Spider Kid fighting this dude, and he decides to help and recruit Spider-Man, who at this time is a full-fledged adult. So there's not the controversy of him enlisting a child soldier, because that was a major complaint. Kept Andrew Garfield, and I know a lot of people don't like Andrew Garfield, but hear me out. Keep Andrew Garfield, have him fight, and then have it be like the Civil War storyline where he reveals he's Peter Parker, and then all that, and then he goes off in his own movie. Civil War continues. And then Spider-Man: Homecoming, which let's just say they call it Spider-Man: Homecoming. In Spider-Man: Homecoming with Andrew Garfield, you can have him fight the Vulture or whatever, and then at the same time, you can introduce the character of Miles Morales. You know what I'm talking about? You can introduce the character of Miles Morales, and then just have Homecoming, have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man interact with Miles, befriend him, and all that, and then have him just have it be a fun movie. Have it be a fun movie. Let Andrew Garfield be the Spider-Man that we know he can be. Because a lot of people were saying that they hated Garfield as Spider-Man. I liked him as Spider-Man. I didn't like him as Peter. I've always said this. I prefer if they had Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in the same movie. That would have been amazing. Because Andrew Garfield pulled off Spider-Man so well, especially in the first one. He's just so funny. He's charismatic. Andrew Garfield is a great actor. And he makes for a great Peter Parker when he's allowed to be Peter Parker. So, just have Homecoming, does his thing, and then by the end, have the whole organ transplant thing happen. That'll give Miles Morales Peter Parker's abilities. And then here comes Infinity War. Here comes Infinity War. Have Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man die in this movie, because everyone's going to go see Infinity War. Everybody. They've been building up to this. I personally think Infinity War is going to be at least alright. It'll definitely be better than Avengers 2. It better be better than Avengers 2. But, have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man start mentoring Miles Morales, because Miles shows up. Oh my god, I'm a spider dude, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And then Peter's all just like, alright, I have to take responsibility. A bit of a shark jump, but, have Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker Spider-Man die in Infinity War. And then after Infinity War, after the dust is settled, they can make a new Spider-Man movie with the actor they chose to play Miles Morales. So either way, you win. Everybody gets that black Spider-Man they've wanted. I've never read Miles Morales' Spider-Man run. I have not read it, so I don't know how good of a Spider-Man Miles is. But I am aware of Miles, so he's at least somewhat iconic. And even if he sucks in the comics, with Marvel supposedly making these D-list characters great, it's no doubt in my mind that they could make a great Miles Morales Spider-Man. Sound off in the comments if you agree with me, If you disagree with me, by all means, disagree with me. Tell me where I went wrong, even. Tell me where, like, if you want to, just, skew into a different tangent. Take the ideas and the concepts that I presented to you in this podcast, and, tell me what you think. Tell me how you think they could have done it. If you, of course, if you, of course, agree with me that they could have done better in incorporating Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you completely disagree and you're fine with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which, for the record, I'm fine with it. I would prefer they would have picked a more adult actor, because I don't want to see Spider-Man in high school again, but whatever, that's the direction they're going. But, let's just kick this little fan fiction here, just like this alternate reality that we've got going on here, where they kept Andrew Garfield. I mean, hell, we don't even have to kill him off in Infinity War. We can ride that train out for a little bit more, for a little bit longer. Anyways, just let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, give me your thoughts. Anyways, I've run on long enough. It is 3:31. It's very late, and I have chats that I have to answer. Anyways, this is Joker216 signing off. I will see you next time. well, I'll talk to you next time. Hopefully, I'll be feeling a lot better by then. Anyways, see you guys.